Hello, welcome to Umoja Mini Presentation, Systematic Approach to User Access Mapping, or UAM. By following this approach as explained here, the mapping of individual users to enterprise roles in Umoja will be greatly facilitated. First, a quick summary of UAM. UAM is the process of assigning roles to users on the basis of each user's job or duties and responsibilities related to the business process in Umoja. UAM is not about the maps and roles themselves, but rather about the user in the context of the roles being mapped. Mapping is U-specific and user-centric. UAM determines who does what in the business process and who can access, act on, or approve what in Umoja. Different users have different jobs, so of course they must be able to do different things in Umoja corresponding to their jobs. UAM assigns roles to the appropriate users based on various considerations, including guiding principles, such as the required delegations for roles, and business realignment models and interim arrangements, if any. UAM ensures role alignment, supports business readiness, and also determines the targeted training and communication that a user receives based on the assigned role or roles. Each role has its own associated training courses. So to begin, we have a hypothetical example. Meet Jane Smith. Jane works at Yunan in Nairobi. Jane is expecting her second child and soon must request time off for her maternity leave. She requested ML last year when pregnant with her first child. She already knows the as-is, but needs to learn the to-be. This is how Jane requested her ML in the past. She would go to the Yunan administration to find out the details of her entitlement and the logistics of submitting a notification of birth. Then she would submit a medical certificate or report and request approval from Yunan Medical Service for her pre-delivery ML period, which determines when she would begin her maternity leave prior to giving birth. Yunan Medical Service would then review Jane's documents and, hopefully, approve her pre-delivery ML period. Finally, Yunan administration would raise a personnel action. These are 4 separate steps that must be followed by multiple users. This is the to-be process of how Jane will now request her ML in Umoja. With the deployment of Umoja, the 3 entities in Nairobi, Yunan, UNEP, and UN Habitat, will establish a common administrative center, which we will call NOC for purposes of this presentation. Under this business model, Jane, being a staff member of Yunan, will now have to direct her request to the NOC. The to-be process is more streamlined. In Umoja, Jane will submit her requests for ML in Employee Self-Service, or ESS, and upload the required documents. If Jane has no access to ESS, a time administrator in her organizational unit at Yunan can input the request on her behalf. Her maternity leave request is then routed to the HR partner in the NOC, who will review and approve her ML. There is no more need for a personnel action in this process. Notice that the previous role of the medical service has been eliminated in the process, except in special cases which require consultation with the medical service. Following the review of the as-is and agreement among the various parties on the to-be arrangements, such as the creation of a common administrative center, we can now proceed with the mapping of enterprise roles to entities. On the basis of the to-be model and related interim administrative arrangements, we can now determine which roles will be mapped to the NOC and which roles will be mapped to users in Yunan, UNEP, and UN Habitat, including their respective field offices. Once the mapping of roles to entities has been completed and agreed upon, the mapping of individual users to the enterprise roles can now proceed using the User Access Mapping template. If Jane Smith is the sample user here, she has been mapped to the roles of Benefits Display and of Payroll Master Data Maintainer in connection with her job as a finance assistant in payroll. So Jane is mapped to both roles with an X on the template, as you see here. Once a user is mapped to a role, he or she needs to be trained for it. Each role has its own training course, so there is a portfolio of courses for each user. John Smith here, possibly Jane Smith's husband, a travel and shipment administrator, has to complete multiple training courses, including a general travel overview, before he could be given access to the role of travel and shipment administrator. This completes our mini presentation on the systematic approach to UAM. Thank you for watching.